Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Hello, Larchmont and Mamaroneck. I am Alina Suriel.
And I'm Don Julian. Welcome to The Local Live. Tonight is our 19th show, and we have as our roundtable guest the Mamaroneck School Superintendent, Dr. Robert Shapps, who will be speaking with The Local Live's Mike Witch, and you, the viewer, about the entire school budget. Please join in.
But before we get to the interview, it's time to show you a sneak preview of what you will see this evening. So the school budget is on the news again. We'll tell you more. Go Tigers! Watch Greta Massey making this week's Play of the Week.
And roasted peppers is in the spotlight. We had a very delicious recipe to share.
Looking for a new furry friend? Let's find Naomi a home. We open tonight's show with a developing story about the Mamaroneck School District. The community group Fairness for All Kids has filed a lawsuit challenging the Mamaroneck School District's newly adopted busing policy.
It's with great regret that this community has been forced to bring a lawsuit against the district to stop it from putting in place a new policy which would take safe yellow school buses away from children and force them to use public transportation.
The new policy, as reported in Loop, reverses the district's long-standing practice of providing transportation by private carrier to students in grades 9 through 12. Under the new policy, the school district will issue public transport passes instead. The district, in a press release today, stated that the policy change was a budgetary decision necessitated by the district's need to reduce expenses. The press release pointed out that a number of school districts in the state, including Rhinebeck and Pelham, use public transit passes to transport some students. We'll be following the story as it develops. If you want to view the April 8th school board meeting where the school bus policy the change was enacted, please visit lmctv.org and click on Video on Demand.
Discussions continued on Tuesday on a possible exemption for veterans from school taxes. In their session, school board members revealed the results of a survey they circulated to gauge public opinion on the issue.
Question read, yes or no, I am in favor of the board adopting the alternative veterans exemption that the county, town, village already adopted and providing eligible veterans with a partial exemption from school district taxes. I understand that this means an increase in my taxes up to approximately $50 for the average home. We received a total of 818 votes, 471 yes votes and 347 no votes, or 58% in favor and 42% against. However, some voters got carried away and voted multiple times. If you count only 2 votes per IP address, assuming 2 voters residing in the same household, you get 440 yes votes and 309 no votes, or 59% in favor and 41% against. If you count only 1 vote for IP address, then you get a result of 415 yes votes to 278 no votes, or 60% for and 40% against.
These numbers will be instrumental in the final decision, which must be made before May 1st to be effective for the 2015-2016 school year. In addition to the public support for the exemption, 4 out of 6 of the board members present voiced their endorsement as well.
Remember, you can watch the whole meeting on our webpage. You can go to lmctv.org and watch on demand.
Now it's time for Mike Witch's In the Media segment. Let's see what stories are trending this week in our local media.
Almost 2 years now without a labor union contract, the Village of Mamaroneck and its police department have reached an agreement for the next few years, with health care changes and salary increases highlighting the deal. The story is published in the Mamaroneck Review. A phone call this morning to the mayor's office and the police department confirmed that the Board of Trustees unanimously approved the new deal on April 16. The new contract lasts through May 2016. For all the details, get a copy of the Mamaroneck Review. The Loop published a report card and an interactive map tracking upgrades at several local Westchester sewage treatment plants around Long Island Sound in Blind Brook, Mamaroneck, New Rochelle, and Portchester. Upgrade work is now finished in Mamaroneck, but 3 other plants are reported at risk, which means that they have a lot of work that needs to be completed in order to cut pollution required under federally mandated deadlines. To read the report, released by Save the Sound, go to the Loop. From the Patch, news that Susan Fox will be the new CEO of White Plains Hospital, taking over from John Chandler, who will retire next year. The Larchmont resident brings more than 25 years of healthcare management experience to her position, says a press release from the hospital. She started her career as a pediatric intensive care nurse. Also in the Patch, an announcement from the Friends of Larchmont Library that best-selling author Elizabeth Kolbert is coming on May 3rd. She'll be reading from her newest book, The Sixth Extinction, An Unnatural History. It's about the future of the world, a powerful account of the mass extinction unfolding before our eyes. Kolbert is a staff writer for The New Yorker and an award-winning author, and the daughter of Larchmont trustee Marlene Kolbert. The library talk is free. For details, consult the Patch or the library's website. Finally, our congratulations to Rachel Cohen, a junior at Rye Neck High School, named Athlete of the Week by the Journal News in their April 18th online edition at lohud.com. Rachel received the Youth Public Service Health Award from the Westchester County Board of Health. Her unique project, she collected, cleaned, and then donated lots of stuffed animals to the police, giving officers a great way to reduce trauma and provide comfort to children in emergency situations. Mayor Norman Rosenblum nominated Rachel and praised her efforts as a significant contribution to the mental health of the youngest members of our community. But Rachel says it better when she tells the Journal News, quote, "Most kids love stuffed animals. They're cute, fluffy, and kids can snuggle with them. They're a comforting friend. When a police officer shows up and presents a cute stuffed animal, they're no longer big and scary." Well, these were some of the local stories that caught my attention this week in the media.
Hi, I'm State Senator George Latimer, and I encourage you to watch every week The Local Live. I was going to say something like, I live in Rye, but if I lived in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, I would watch The Local Live every week. And I just remind... Thank you.
In this edition of The Local Live, we look at the proposed Mamaroneck Schools budget for the next school year. Good evening, I'm Mike Witch, and sitting next to me is Rebecca. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm Rebecca Berman, and you're watching us live now. And if you have questions and comments, you can tweet, email, and phone to the numbers and addresses on the screen.
Well, we're happy that the superintendent of Mamaroneck Schools, Dr. Robert Shapps, has made time to join us for the next 30 minutes or so to answer your questions about the spending plan that goes before district voters on May 20th. Welcome, Dr. Shapps.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Mike.
I guess you've probably made these kinds of presentations once or twice so far.
That would be an understatement. Certainly, we've had an opportunity to kind of work on this budget and really think broadly about our budgets over 2 years. Really since early fall. So this is kind of a culmination of just a great effort by our administration, the Board of Education. Certainly we have citizens as part of our Citizens Finance Advisory Committee who've weighed in on this and worked with us. So it really is a collaborative effort to get to this point.
And you had a proposed budget, but then there's some good news about some added revenue and some...
Yeah, you know, as we say to the public along the way, there's new information that comes in. So really up until this past Tuesday, we recommend a budget, but there are a lot of developments that come in and along the way. They really influence our decisions about the final budget. I will say, though, that the starting point for any budget is to really, you know, a budget represents the articulation or the financial articulation of your goals and your values. And for me, it's about continuous improvement to our school district and ensuring that we are fiscally responsible to our community. So it really is kind of a foundation that's built upon those two ideas. For us this year, certainly we were mindful of the concern to stay under the allowable tax levy cap, which is, we believe, is part of this idea of fiscal responsibility.
Okay. Well, can you give us the broad outline?
Sure.
What are we talking about now?
Sure. Let's just talk about I guess, a summary of the budget in terms of what is delivered through this budget, and then maybe I'll just touch on the numbers briefly if I can. Okay. We're pleased that, number one, as I mentioned, this budget falls under the allowable tax levy cap, which means certainly we meet the expectation of the voters to deliver a budget that we wouldn't have to seek an override. As a result of that, we're proud to say that now our citizens who have filed for a STAR exemption will be eligible for the governor's tax rebate plan, which is a big part of the discussion in Albany this year. The way it works, or the way it should work, is that if you are eligible under STAR, that any municipality or district that stays under the cap, the taxpayers would receive a rebate based on the differences of the taxes they paid, the increase over the taxes they paid from the prior year. The challenge that our community faces is with the total reevaluation, it still has to work out in terms of the details of that. But we're pleased that this budget meets the governor's expectations for rebate.
And this is the STAR program that's been in existence for a few years now.
Absolutely.
This is nothing new.
No, it's nothing new.
Okay.
So it also includes, the budget includes a one-time transfer of fund balance of $750,000 to address the Murray Stairs project, which was part of, or is part of, the capital bond that was approved by voters 2 years ago.
Are these the stairs in front of the auditorium?
They are.
Okay.
We represented the issue to the public throughout this process that we would like to use fund balance of this year's budget, which will have no impact on the tax levy in terms of the tax levy increase, and to be able to pull this project out of the bond. So the voters would have to approve this, and as a result, we'd be able to apply this transfer to address the project in full. Okay. It also accounts for a $170,000 one-time transfer for strategic investments in technology infrastructure. As you know, next year will be the first year that the state has requested all districts participate on online testing. So this is part of our multi-year effort to kind of prepare for, in terms of the infrastructure, to ensure that students will be able to meet that expectation. Some of the highlights that I want to talk about, the budget, it falls under, as I mentioned, it preserves our class size guidelines, so it meets the expectations from the Board of Education that our class sizes will remain consistent with our policy. It provides for an investment and continuing investment in professional development for the Common Core, the continued implementation of the Common Core. It focuses on our investment in one-to-one computing as part of how we're redefining teaching and learning, which is important to us as well. It includes the outsourcing of our pre-K program. And I'm sure as we get through our conversation, it allows us to partner with a local community vendor consortium to deliver pre-K, which has a long-standing history in our community, and provide for about $178,000 of savings through that shift in terms of partnering with the district. We also include through this budget a couple program changes. One is the initiative to move to a full-day K program for all schools. We currently have a full-day program at Mamaroneck Avenue School. It also allows for our continued focus on STEM activities. We are going to expand the number of course offerings at the high school, moving to an AP Computer Science program.
We should define STEM for those folks who don't know.
STEM is an acronym, and we love acronyms here in the academic world, for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And we have for several years started a whole host of activities in the middle school and high school focus on STEM, and as a continuation in this budget, we're providing for AP Advanced Placement Computer Science program, a app design course. We're going to continue with our robotics course, and we're going to have an introduction to computer science. So it really is nice to see the growth of this program, which has really generated a lot of excitement and interest from our students as well. It also includes, on the financial side, an additional investment of $500,000 of fund balance, which is in some ways reduces the impact on the taxpayers. That is, how do we use reserves to really kind of minimize the increase? And I'll get to the numbers in a minute. The other thing I just want to mention, we have focused, despite the strong emphasis on the transition to the Common Core, we have stayed true, I believe, in our district to the value of authentic learning. And to this end, we are introducing a capstone project in both in 5th grade and 8th grade, which really allows students the opportunity to focus on an essential question, a passion that they may have in terms of inquiry, and to really focus on the skills of research, inquiry, critical thinking, and presentation to kind of become an expert and to present their findings over a period of time to the school community, to our broader community as well. And so we're very pleased to be able to really kind of shift closer to, in terms of everyday activities, the values that we bring locally about authentic learning.
And Capstone will be through grades?
Well, Capstone we're going to introduce Capstone for all 5th graders. It's going to be tied in with technology. So all 5th grade students will participate in each of the 4 elementary schools, and then at 8th grade or 8th or 7th grade as well. If I can just transition to the budget by the numbers, because I think people hear a lot of numbers.
By the way, are these numbers are available online?
Yes, they are. We on Tuesday, the Board of Education formally adopted the budget for the 2014-15 school year, and as you mentioned, the vote will take place on the May 20th as well.
Yeah.
Our budget is growing by approximately $3.6 million, going from $128,226,555 to $131,863,636. It reflects a 2.84% budget-to-budget increase over the current budget. At the same time, our tax levy, that is the amount that we're allowed to grow under the tax cap law of $2 million, it reflects a 1.77% growth of the tax levy.
So you're under the cap?
We're under the cap.
And the tax levy is what you need to raise from taxes?
Correct. At the same time, through this budget, we did, and I can get into it, increase our revenue, non-tax revenue, by about $750,000, and that really was based on looking at a multitude of revenue categories over a period historically of 5 years and making adjustments in belief that we could increase other revenue categories to offset, the demand to increase our taxes. It translates to, in terms of the tax rate, with a new total reevaluation of $8.4 billion. In terms of total assessment, to $13.72 per thousand on the average assessed home, which in our community is $1.1 million. It actually is a decrease in the total rate from prior years. So.
So will people see their tax bills go up or down?
Well, we are very careful to say publicly that this is not about.
Ask the simple questions.
Right. It's not about speaking to the individual taxpayer and their bill. We are able to say that based on an average assessed home at $1.1 million, the rate will be $13.72. So that's as far as I like to go and say.
Okay.
But this in combination, I think, with again the governor's tax rebate is good news for our taxpayers.
Okay, so the bottom line is it's a responsible budget. It maintains the school district's uniqueness and special programs, and it's fair and equitable. And you've been working on this for a long time.
Yes, we have. And I think it was important to point out, we began our conversation back in November when we presented really a 2-year picture of growth and expenditures of the budget. And that's where we really partnered with a number of citizens as part of our Citizens Finance Advisory Committee to kind of say, how do we understand the growth of expenditures over the next 2 years, and what strategies should we apply? It's important to point out that in terms of how we arrived at this budget, we ended up having to really cut $2 million in expenditures. So it really was a continuing pattern for our district to cut expenditures in order to maintain program and stay under the cap.
Now, I should explain to the viewers, as part of full disclosure that I'm a retired Mamaroneck school teacher. So my initial thought is that the teachers and the administrators in the schools get everything they want. Don't they put that on a wish list and you get it, and now you're telling me that you had to cut $2 million from that?
That's true. It's even, I would say that over the last several years, we've cut over $6 million. And the challenge living within this tax cap formula is how do you maintain and improve the quality of schools, but in terms of look for efficiencies and cost reductions, but in some ways do not compromise the quality of your program. And so for the prior two budgets, we've actually been well below the tax levy cap and have left what I would say is dollars on the table. But we did that in order to meet our responsibility to our taxpayers. So in essence, we've cut over $6 million these last three budgets, and in this time we're just under the cap in terms of the formula. The difficulty is that since 2008, we've eliminated over 100 or close to 100 positions. And as I said publicly, we're to the point now where it's going to be a challenge moving forward to maintain the level of experience if we have to continue to reduce positions.
Well, the headline in the Mamaroneck Review when they announced the changes in the budget was that the high school advisor position was restored. That was the first thing they mentioned.
Yes, and as I alluded to, this is a kind of ongoing process of review and discussion. And when we introduced the budget early on, we actually identified 21 positions, both classified and certified staff, that we had reduced or recommended to reduce as part of this budget. As we went through the process of looking at revenue and most specifically the increase in state aid that we received after the agreement on the budget, we then went back to the board and did the following. We reinstated or made a recommendation to reinstate our summer camp, co-op camp program and our summer school program. And we also made the decision to reinstate the youth liaison worker position. We added an additional 4.5 positions for our teacher aides to support our full day K program. And we increased by a 0.25 another support position. So we were able to kind of prioritize based on the opportunity that came in through the adjustment in terms of expenditures.
Okay. I'd like to pause at this point. Since we advertised that we would take some questions, we have an email coming in.
Yes, yes, we do. Well, we had 2 emails regarding the full day kindergarten, which you had already spoken about. And then we have another email here that says, has the mandate to use the Common Core curriculum had an impact on the school budget?
Sure. Well, let me touch on kindergarten first. Early on, we had a discussion, and this is an historical discussion about moving to a full-day program. Right now at Mamaroneck Avenue School, for many, many years, the students in kindergarten have had a full-day program. So early on in January and February, we met with our kindergarten teachers and talked about how we could, in some ways, improve upon our kindergarten in terms of the delivery, meet our expectations of delivering a developmentally appropriate curriculum, and understanding the positive aspects of a full-day K. We touched on this idea of being able to extend the day through having balanced pacing and consistency in curriculum. But more importantly, we focused on the opportunity to do more authentic learning, more interdisciplinary learning, a lot of inquiry and play that was important to our teachers that in many respects they felt in the same constrained by limitation of time. So as an opportunity, we did meet with probably close to 200 prospective kindergarten parents at our 3 elementary schools in the month of March. In addition to that, we had a lot of public discussions at the board level, and I received a number of emails in support of moving to a full-day K program. In reality, it's adding 5 hours of instruction over the course of a week. I mean, we're very close in many respects to a full day. We have a hybrid program, and it's my recommendation to move that forward. At the same time, we're committed to preserving small and individual group instruction that is really the key to and hallmark of our program, as well as ensuring that this is not about just responding to more academic demands. It's really staying true to our belief and philosophy about the joy of learning, about the emotional and social importance of kindergarten, and ensuring that we have small group and individual group attention throughout the day. I'm excited by it, and I was excited to see that over 75% of the participants, in terms of prospective parents, we're in support of this decision. So our goal is to demonstrate to the community at large the value of this change, and we feel very proud of the decision. We recognize also that some parents throughout this process are committed and really appreciate the historical kind of hybrid model, but we hope to show them that this is added value. In terms of the Common Core, if I can...
Yes, and the time is flying by.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry. In terms of the Common Core, I just want to mention that we did point out in terms of this transition that there was a direct impact in terms of the mandate itself, in terms of increasing expenditures. This year alone, we added about $140,000 of printing costs that were connected to our mathematics program in the Common Core. And so we tried to say that certainly there are some real costs associated with this transition. I would say the biggest investment for us has been this multi-year effort of professional development. How do we help our teachers really think about the bigger ideas of learning tied to the standards, but make it more authentic and local, stay true to our local values of teaching and learning and student engagement and so on.
I'm going to ask the control room at this point if we can just extend our interview a little bit because we have quite a bit of stuff to talk about.
Sure.
If you don't mind staying
Absolutely.
on a little bit. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. And the Common Core, of course, if you read in the newspaper, has got nothing but bad marks. Are there anxieties in the school district? The parents certainly report anxiety about testing.
Yeah, it was really it's interesting. I know that our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, Annie Ward, was here recently to talk about the Common Core. I would say this is more about the confluence of this emphasis on testing at the same time of teacher evaluation changes with the Common Core. It's interesting, over the last several months, observing classrooms, talking to teachers, I think we all feel much better about this transition in the area of math and ELA, only because our focus has always been on quality teaching and learning, and really trying to say, giving the teacher the opportunity to be the decision maker around the choices in terms of curriculum. And really, we have started in the process of shifting to the Common Core several years in kindergarten, first and second grade. So we're starting to see the positive aspects of the mathematical thinking and the changes around the new standards.
I know you're here to talk about the budget primarily, so
Sure.
thank you for taking that question. Do we have anything else coming in at the moment?
We actually do. We have another question here that says, once you cut services, it's usually hard to get them back. Why was the focus on reducing the tax levy and not just leave it the same?
I'm sorry, reducing the tax levy?
Yes.
Well, we actually were able to, in terms of that, there's actually an increase in the tax levy. We were allowed to, by this law, increase the tax levy by $2 million. That was our threshold. And we actually have increased the budget close to that, to that limit. So it's not necessarily about reducing services. I think that in reality, if you could think about it this way, we were growing our budget through our commitment that is primarily through employee benefits and salaries, about $5 million. And so we were allowed to grow by $2 million in terms of the cap. So we had to identify reductions in expenditures to meet the expectation of delivering a budget under the cap. So it is about difficult choices, and I think that touched on really in our multi-year examination of efficiencies and savings in transportation and in other areas. So it's not about eliminating services as much as it is how can you deliver programs and be more efficient, find opportunities for savings and reductions, but not compromise the quality of your program. What has made it more difficult, we've been doing this now for 3 years, and so if you paid attention to our public conversations, it really was about identifying smaller cuts from 10, 20, to $50,000 to $100,000 to accumulate $2 million worth of reductions. And that was through support personnel and some savings in terms of certified staff as well, as much as it was in terms of expenditures.
On the last page of your recommended budget, there is a note about what happens if there's a contingency budget. Is that a warning that if it doesn't pass, this is what's going to happen?
As part of the
by
budget
law?
process, we're mandated to kind of talk about what happens if the community votes down the budget. The way it works under the new law is that we have two opportunities. If the voters were to vote down this budget, there are two opportunities to present the budget again. If we are forced
for a vote,
okay. That's correct. And if we have to go to a contingency budget, we would have to identify an additional $2 million of reduction reductions, because the law forces you to go back to the tax levy of your current budget, which is for us is $113 million. So we would actually have to find, either through a combination of additional revenue or additional reductions, another $2 million in reductions, and that would be significant for our budget.
Well, I hope you don't have to do that.
Well,
And
if I can say, Mike, you know what I'm proud about over the last several years is that we've had tremendous support for our budgets on the day of the vote. And I think that's been through several areas. One, this idea of being fiscally responsible to our community. Two, to be very transparent in terms of the challenges. Three, to really present budgets that I believe demonstrate our willingness to make difficult choices but not compromise the quality of our education.
well, thank you for shedding a little bit more light on the budget and the process. And the vote is May 20th
That's correct.
in the elementary schools.
Yeah, and I would say, just as we had this evening, as community members have questions, please feel free to email, call, come by, attend our meetings over the next several weeks. I usually at this time am out and about really presenting at coffees, having discussions with community members, and I look forward to that. It's a great way to really talk about the quality of our school district and then lead into the numbers, so to speak.
Well, thank you again for coming by, and thank you all for writing or tweeting or emailing your questions. And I hope you'll come back and give us some more information.
Well, I look forward to the opportunity to come back and really talk about the experience of our students and the quality of our teaching and really focus on that and less on the numbers.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Seligson, Mamaroneck Town Supervisor, and you are watching The Local Life on LMC TV.
This week in sports, the Mamaroneck girls lacrosse team played a back-and-forth game against Edgemont and were tied up with under a minute to play. Senior midfielder Greta Massey got an opportunity to go for the win and ended up making this week's LMC Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
It is Massey. Shot. Scores! Second goal from Massey could not have come at a better time. Tigers lead by 1, 46 ticks remain.
April is National Autism Awareness Month. Our own Mara Carlin met with Liz Field, president of Autism Speaks. Let's watch the tape.
April is Autism Awareness Month, and in honor of that, I'm fortunate to have as my guest the president of Autism Speaks, Liz Field. There's just so much information that comes out about autism, constant studies. We all think of children with autism, but children with autism grow up to be adults with autism. Where are we now? What's being done for people who are aging out of the educational system?
So in most states, that's age 21 or 22. Their services stop, arbitrary, over and out, that's it. That population has no national strategy to address their needs, and those needs include housing options, employment. There are only 15% of adults with autism who are employed, despite the fact that 85 to 90% are employable.
And thus far, it's fallen upon the parents, I take it, lifelong parenting?
Parents' concern that there will be nothing for their children when the parents die. I mean, you can imagine if you start worrying about that when your child's only 10 or 15 years old. So issues around guardianship, and as I said, independent living, housing options, they're all, I'll call them unresolved, but unaddressed in most states in the country.
And how does all this affect insurance?
So this is one of the biggest challenges for parents. In fact, when Autism Speaks started, they surveyed families around the country what would make the most meaningful difference in your life, and number one was getting insurance coverage. Because there was discrimination against people with autism. It lives in the mental health world. It is now covered as a medical treatment, as a medical benefit. It's a doctor prescribed benefit. But we have fought very hard for that because in many states, legislatures hid behind the idea that it was an educational benefit, so therefore insurance companies didn't have to cover it. So for parents, it's $60,000 out of pocket for many families. Right. And that's just for, that doesn't even include loss of income if you have to stay home and take care of someone. That's just for treatment.
And where does it stand with funding for more brain research? It seems like that's where things should be heading.
Well, I will tell you more, coming from the world of politics, there is unprecedented bipartisan support now in Washington for brain research. You probably saw the president announce last year a brain initiative. It's now $200 million. So everybody knows now that we've got to get behind research that's going to help all of these brain disorders, not just autism. What we do for Alzheimer's should help us. What we do for other, as I said, neurodevelopmental disorders.
You're not going to believe that we are actually already out of time.
Am I allowed to do one shout out?
Go right ahead.
Natalie Spangle is a sophomore at Mamaroneck High School, and she started an autism support group back in 5th grade at Chatsworth School. She's been raising money, raising awareness. There's a club here at Mamaroneck High School. She's the president. She came to me. She's doing a lot of good work, and that kind of grassroots work is being done all around the country, and it matters. So I just want to say, right here, there's a lot going on.
That's wonderful. I'm going to give you a shout out because more information can be obtained from the website autismspeaks.org. And I want to thank you, Liz Feld, for joining us. She's the president of Autism Speaks. As I said, you can go to their website, autismspeaks.org, for more information. For The Local Live, I'm Maura Carlin.
Who doesn't love tacos, am I right? Roasted Peppers is in the spotlight this week. Let's watch Rebecca Berman make some magic.
Roasted peppers, I think of food that's hot and spicy. Well, here at Roasted Peppers on Mamaroneck Avenue, you can get all those flavors and more. We're here today with one of the chef partners, Daryl Belcher of Roasted Peppers. Hi, Daryl. How are you?
How are you doing, Rebecca? How are you today?
Good. So I understand Roasted Peppers is casual American dining with a Latin twist. So I'm thinking that you're going to be showing me how to make a dish in the kitchen
we're going to be making our red snapper taco. And it's going to be red snapper with a jalapeno drizzle and a nice pico de gallo, nice flavors, nice and bold.
Oh, I cannot wait to help you.
So try it with that one. So cut it, just score it twice. You don't want to go all the way through the skin. So use more the tip of the knife. You got it?
Yep.
Voila!
Very cool.
Chef for the future. You just season it with a little salt and pepper. We have our red snapper fillet, which we've taken the skin off of. We've marinated it in a little bit of garlic, fresh cilantro, some lime zest, and a little bit of olive oil. And we'll just let it marinate for about 2 hours. And we're just going to put it on a nice hot grill, flesh side down first, and just a little fresh squeezed lime juice. So now once your fish is almost ready, that it comes up off the grill very easily, it's ready to turn. And we'll just turn it. You have nice little grill marks, and you'll let the filet finish cooking. Okay. Voila. You're gonna warm up the tortillas, Rebecca? Here you go.
Okay, I'm coming over. Okay, ready? Here I go. I'm laying the tortilla, grilling them, I mean.
There you
1, 2. While the fish and tacos are cooking, let's hear about their drinks. We're here with Stephanie at Roasted Peppers. And Stephanie, can you tell us why you like coming to Roasted Peppers?
Well, this is my first time here, and I just tried the margarita, and I'm a keeper. That's it. I'm coming back for more. Actually, I'm going to have another one right now.
Great. Time to check on the tacos.
Now you have our 3 tortillas. Now you're gonna make pockets in your tortillas.
Right.
And we'll support it with a lemon because limes are ridiculously priced right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now we're just gonna line it with a little bit of shredded lettuce.
Right.
Okay. You can do that.
Okay. Do we put the
Fish first.
Oh, fish
Mhm.
first. Okay. Wow, Daryl, this is great.
Then we're gonna, next step is gonna have a little pico de gallo,
Okay.
which is diced tomatoes and jalapenos, cilantro,
Yum.
lime juice, salt and pepper.
Now this is the real Latin.
This is the real Latin.
The Latin influence, right?
Now you're gonna put your avocado, a slice of
Okay.
avocado on each one. And now you're gonna finish it with a little roasted pepper, roasted pepper drizzle.
Hey, this part I could do. Okay.
All right.
Daryl,
It's
this
good
looks
to go.
so good. I can't wait to taste it. Here's to red snapper tacos and great food at Roasted Pepper. Daryl, that's amazing.
There we go. It really is good. That's good.
This is Rebecca Berman for The Local Live.
You guys are watching The Local Live. Stay tuned.
Yeah. And this is my favorite segment of the show. Our pet of the week is Naomi. She raised 5 kittens who have all been adopted, and now she is also eager to find a loving home of her own. Naomi is a gentle calico with beautiful markings. She's a bit shy until she feels safe and very affectionate once she knows you. Naomi is 1 year old, up to date on her shots, spayed and microchipped. Her bright green eyes always seem to be smiling, and she gets along very well with other cats. To adopt Naomi, please contact Pet Rescue at petrescuenewyork@aol.com or call 914-834-6955.
We've gotten to the end of our show. Thank you for watching us.
Remember, if you want to get involved and watch old episodes of our show, go to www.lmc.org/thelocallive.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Tell us what you think and give us story ideas.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.